Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you're listening. That's the beauty of podcasting. Welcome into Touchdown in Paradise here in the Fins Talk Sports Network. I'm Justin.
I'm Russ.
I'm Austin.
I'm Pete.
You heard a new name in there. That's right. First off, we have to give a big shout out. Happy birthday to Joe. Today, he's not no-show Joe. He is birthday boy Joe, who's preoccupied. And as a result of that, we'd like to welcome in our new co-host for just this week and maybe a little bit more down the season. We'll see. Welcome in, Austin.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you for having me.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Austin, I see that shirt you're wearing. I think you went to a specific game this past week in person, didn't you?
Yeah, I was up in Ann Arbor for the Michigan-Texas game. Unfortunately, it didn't go our way. I kind of had a little bit of a feeling about it, honestly, but I always got to root for us when we're winning or losing, man.
Hey, good on you for getting up there. I know you're living in Arizona now, so it's not exactly right around the corner. You're a Midwest guy at heart, though.
That's right. Originally from Ohio.
Oh, boy, crossing state borders, a little bit of traitor-ish, huh?
That's right.
Well, we do have another Midwestern on the show, Pete, the Chicago boy.
Yeah, I don't want to talk. Austin and I both had a rough weekend. Our teams lost. Mine was a little bit more devastating, but we'll get to that later. It's fine. I'm so chill. I'm good, dude. Don't worry about it.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. Well, let's jump right in. We're not going to talk about that right away because we have some breaking news out of Pittsburgh. Pitt fires, as I like to say. AD Heather Lyke was dismissed on Monday, the school announced. We need a new vision and a new leader of our athletics department, Chancellor Joan Gable said after thanking Lyke for her leadership. ESPN reported Lyke and Gable didn't agree on a lot of things, including NIL. And in this day and age, we really see what NIL means to any school. We're seeing what happens to Clemson now, and their NIL is non-existent practically. And you see how their program in football particularly is getting affected that way. Per ESPN as well, staffers indicated Lyke was given no reason for her dismissal on Monday morning and was not given the opportunity to meet with her coaches or staff or pack up her office. Many inside the Pitt Athletics department felt blindsided by the news. I want to pause here for a second. Russ, when you hear that you get let go from your job, but you're given no reason, how does that ring well toward you, especially in this position?
It doesn't ring well for me. And that kind of just, it's in this today's day and age, definitely, where it goes into, more than just, a job. It's like today's day and age where we see everything moving up is, groceries are going up, gas is up, housing is up, and you lose your job like that. It's like, how many, I know she's making a lot more money than most of us, but still it's like, how am I going to make my mortgage? How am I going to, pay for my gas? Obviously she's fine, but it's still, you think about those things. So it kind of sucks.
During her time as Pitt AD, the football team won the ACC in 2021. Volleyball advanced to its first 3 Final Fours in school history, and men's soccer advanced to the College Cup twice in the past 4 seasons. She was even honored in 2023 as the National Associate of Collegiate Directors of Athletics honored her as a Cushman and Wakefield AD of the Year. Pete, do you think this was premature?
I don't know. I don't know much about her. It looks like she's been there since like 2017, so like 7 years. She's had a lot of success in most sports, but football's king, dude. And last year they were like 3-9. So, with the way money is nowadays, a 3-9 season isn't good. And I know that Narduzzi's like 67-50 or something overall, but 9 of those 50 losses came last year. So. I don't know. It sounds like she's going to have an opportunity to go to Northwestern and other places, and who knows if she goes to Northwestern because they're doing that entire new football renovation with the stadium on the lake and all that stuff. So I think she's going to be fine. But 3-9, dude. Most people get fired after a 3-9 season usually, and it's not like Pittsburgh's winning the ACC. So why not try to mix it up a little bit? I don't know. But sounds like she's good. But there's always going to probably be someone else out there that's better.
With this firing, it happens to be the week of the Backyard Brawl, which they recently brought back with West Virginia. Austin, how does this sound when you get fired the week of the biggest game of the year in your own eyes?
Honestly, it's terrible. I know that's a huge game. One of my best friends actually graduated from West Virginia, and I know he's ecstatic about it, and he's ready for the game this week. But I don't know, man. For me, if I was in her shoes, it's kind of a stab in the back.
Especially this week. You're right. And with this whole thing, the executive athletic director, Jennifer Toscano, will serve as the interim athletic director until the permanent one is hired. She was applying for other AD jobs and was a finalist for the Northwestern one, just so we clarify here. Overall, I just don't know what to think here with Pitt, especially in this day and age this week. It's hard to win your conference, and she was able to do it under her leadership. It's tough to get your athletics director to be able to elevate your school to the next level. Only a few can really go in there and do that. You see Chris Del Conte when he got hired from TCU over to Texas, and now see how their game day experience, their football operations, their basketball team opened up the Moody Center, the new place out there. And then you look at Danny White. Tennessee hired him away from UCF. Now look how much better their football team is doing with a few hires like Josh Heupel, and their basketball team got to the closest they'd ever been to the Final Four. They're just knocking on the door. Their baseball team, national champions. It's really about the right person in the position. And at the end of the day, the way I see it, Pitt, they were able to accomplish a lot, but they didn't quite win anything. If they got higher expectations, I could see. If somebody, God forbid, can bring Pitt back to that level when they were winning national championships in the days of the early to mid 1900s, I guess that's what they're shooting for, the re-glory days, I want to say.
I mean, they're 2-0 this season, so it's not like they're 0-2. So it's kind of definitely a weird time to do this. You only fire people for a handful of reasons. You don't just do it for no reason. So they either got someone new they already know they're going to get in, so they're getting her out, or something happened and they fired her. But yeah, I mean, starting off 2-0 after a 3-9 season, like, why wouldn't you get rid of her in the offseason? I just don't understand. I don't understand the timing of it. So it makes me think they already got someone locked in that they're going to get, or something happened.
I mean, Pete, it's probably honestly the fact that she's applying for other jobs. I've known personally. I worked high level.
Yeah.
I worked high in athletics. I was a high level. I have family members who are in high level in athletics, and it's entertainment at its most. And they'll say to your face, "Oh, I'll help you." Yeah, athletics doesn't want to help you at all. These people, it's an entertainment business. They don't think of that. So I'm sure, oh, you're looking somewhere else. We'll just get out in front of it and see you later.
We're going to move on.
Yeah, but I mean, sorry, if she is looking somewhere else, like, just let her do it and leave. You fire her, you probably got to pay her. So it's like, I don't know. But you're right. You're probably right, Russ.
Moving on to our next topic here, and I'm going to give Austin the floor because don't mess with Texas. Longhorns make a big statement in the big house. 31-12 final score. Quinn Ewers, 246 yards, 3 touchdowns. Davis Warren, 204 yards, a touchdown, and 2 picks. The question here is, Austin, let me hear from you. Does this Texas team have what it takes to win it all? You saw it with your own eyes.
Honestly, I will say this. So I think Texas looked great. They were able to run the ball. We couldn't stop the run. I honestly think they look a little bit like we did last year. So I do think they have a great potential to win this national championship this year.
And then, of course, I want to give you the opportunity to speak from the heart as a Michigan fan. Where are your thoughts on the program at this very time?
So, I'm still high on the program. I think the problem is our offense. Our offense isn't able to move the ball. For some reason, we haven't been able to run the ball, really. I think the problem, I told some of my buddies, was if our offense or if our defense is going to be on the field for 40-plus minutes of the game, we weren't going to win that game. And with our offense not being able to move the ball, I feel like Texas, for almost most of the game, started with the ball at like the 50-yard line, So our defense was tired. I'm not going to blame them, but our offense needs to figure it out and start running the ball.
Pete, if you want to chime in here, based on what you saw in that Texas-Michigan game, how many games do you think Michigan's going to win?
I'm not – I mean, Austin will know more about their schedule than me, but Yeah, they're in trouble. I mean, their offense is not good. And it's tough to, I mean, obviously you got a new coach in there, although he was coaching with them last year and won the games that he was in for Harbaugh. But I think this is probably more of a testament to how good Texas is. Like, Texas is damn good, man. Like, they are good. They're probably the best team in the SEC, and they might win the whole damn thing the way that they look. I mean, they got the swagger too. They're doing the get the gat in the locker room after the game and all that. They got some swagger. You know, they're kicking butt just like USC was last week. Yeah, I think this is more about Texas. Michigan's definitely in a little bit of trouble, but you know, I think they'll bounce back. I mean, they'll win the easy ones, but I mean, playing Texas at all this year, most teams are probably going to lose. Maybe not to that level, but you know, new coach, new quarterback, all that stuff. Probably just a growing pain season.
Russ, things that you noticed during the game, things that you saw.
Texas is just, I mean, dominant, and they'll. I mean, we've said overall they're going to be right there right there in the SEC, and I mean, you got Quinn Ewers comes back, so I mean they're solid there. Michigan, what do you expect? They lost a lot of players to the draft. You lose your coach. I mean, even though it's a Michigan team that's down and not to the level we saw last year, it's still a pretty dominant win in the Big House. So, I mean, Texas is looking solid. And South Bay news, Davis Warren from St. John Loyola High School in Los Angeles, California.
A local kid going up to Michigan.
Well, actually, the second highest of graduates from University of Michigan are from the state of California.
Interesting.
And I will say, in Michigan's defense, we got a whole new offensive lineman. Offensive line. I think that takes some time to mesh. I think, we got USC in 2 weeks, and then we got Oregon and Ohio State still left on the schedule. So, I mean, there's definitely some stuff to figure out here in the next couple of weeks, but I think it just takes some time for all of us to, start meshing together. It'll come. It'll come for sure.
Yeah, when you lose a coach and when you lose 13 starters, I believe, to the NFL, you're going to have days like this. And you've got to have Sharon Moore. What I've learned is don't jump right on is he going to last the whole year? You need to give him a chance to get his own guys in there and really build his vision of what he sees for the Michigan football program.
Absolutely.
And, well, now we've got to talk about this. So I think I'm going to end with Pete on this. No ill will victory. Huskies shocked Notre Dame in South Bend, 16-14. Ethan Hampton, quarterback for Northern Illinois, 198 yards, 1 touchdown. Ontario Brown, 20 carries, 99 yards, 2 catches, 126 yards receiving, and 2 touchdowns. The man did it all, even in just 2.5 quarters. He didn't play the full game. He got hurt. Meanwhile, Riley Leonard, 132 yards and 2 picks. Jeremiah Love, 79 yards on the ground, 1 touchdown. The game was won on a Kenan Woodall kicked 35-yard field goal after a questionable spot on a 3rd down run with time running down. Notre Dame tried a game-winning field goal of their own as time expired, but it was blocked. Let's start here with Russ. Russ, I don't know if you were watching this game or not, but when you heard the news, what was your reaction?
No, I was shocked. I thought this would just be a Notre Dame run-over game. I mean, Northern Illinois, I mean, if we've looked in the past, they've had, a decent program. So it's not like there's for a mid-major team, they've been decent. So it's not like a run over, but I mean, after a big win in College Station, you think it's going on. But like I highlighted last week, I from that game, I saw the same problems that we're seeing. Riley Leonard is just not good enough passing the football. And you see a lot of, I mean, it just didn't work out. He just doesn't have the arm. He missed that Texas A&M game. How many throws did he miss? It's just, a lot that could have changed, made it a lot wider of a margin. So, I mean, I wouldn't hit the panic button yet. It's a bad loss, but they have a pretty easy schedule. But that's a shocking loss, and I was very surprised.
NIU's had players like Jordan Lynch. I don't know how many people remember him from 2013, 2014. That time, the man was huge. He could run, he could pass. He literally did it all like Josh Allen does for the Bills nowadays. They've had some pretty good players in there, and it's not like there's some pushover program. They've had good teams in the past. It's just a big shocker because they haven't been this really good in a long time. It seems like they may have something going here. Austin, what were you thinking when you heard
So
this?
I didn't get to see too much of that game. I got to catch the end of it. But I agree with Russ, man. I thought Notre Dame was going to go in there and stomp them. After a big win last week, I actually thought Riley Leonard would be a little bit better at Notre Dame throwing the ball. I feel like he wasn't too bad last year at Duke. But, I mean, it's a tough loss. And I disagree with Russ. I think it is time to hit the panic button because, you know, I don't know. Who else, Pete, do they got this year?
So we got to hope that USC's undefeated when we play them at the end. We got to hope Florida State turns the season around. Georgia Tech is 1-1 now. It'd be a lot nicer if they were 2-0. We got to play. I think Georgia Tech 2-1. My bad. Yeah, that's right, because they played week 0. But I mean, we don't have a ton, dude. Like, there's not a lot of. I mean, Miami, Ohio. Well, okay, Louisville's one behind us. They're 19th. We got to beat the shit out of them. But yeah, realistically, it's really just if Florida State can kind of come back and get ranked, and then USC at the end of the season has to be ranked. Because I'm not trying to jump in here, but it is time to panic because we don't have a freaking bowl game, or we don't have a conference. So we got one less game. So it's not like we can go and win the conference championship. So we're already playing behind because we got one less game. So yeah, it's time to panic, dude. And this was a classic. I mean, you saw what Penn State and Bowling Green were doing. That's a normal game where you're like, okay, you have a letdown game. We just came from College Station, played amazing, even though Riley Leonard literally, like what you guys said, literally was missing open throws. I was freaking out. I was like, dude, hit the wide open guy. Luckily we got out of there, and you have a letdown game, but you got to be able to win those games. And that's what Penn State did. They went to West Virginia, huge atmosphere. Next week after Bowling Green's taking it to them in Happy Valley, they find a way to win. Riley Leonard had this game. He missed that guy and threw that second pick. He had him beat. He beat that safety for like 40 yards. All he had to do was throw it over the safety. Touchdown, game over, get out of there, figure out next week. Instead, he short arms it right to the guy, and they come down and they get a field goal. And that was a generous – we got lucky they didn't give them that first down. That was totally a first down on that third down. I don't know how the hell the refs called it back. They probably would have gotten to the 10 and had like a 5-yard field goal. Trash, straight trash, dude. Like Marcus Freeman, I like Marcus Freeman. He's had a number of these games that he's lost. And say what you want about Brian Kelly, he might not always win the big one, but damn it, we would never lose these shitty games. Like we wouldn't. I mean, his record was like 85% or whatever in teams that were unranked or close to 90%. Marcus Freeman's like 67% win rate right now, and he's had like 3 or 4 bad losses, including huge comebacks he's given up. So, yeah, my panic button is more so on Riley Leonard because I thought the defense played okay. Obviously, if we're not getting first downs or touchdowns and they have the ball the whole game, I mean, that's hard to compete with that. But you got one play to make it, and he did not make that throw, and I knew it was over after that. Freaking pissing me off, you know. I think our season's over. To be honest with you, I don't think we're going to make the top 12. I think
you got 12 teams in the final this year. Even though Notre Dame's schedule is not that strong, it's stronger in every non-Power 5.
Correct.
I mean, look at Liberty's schedule. I don't care how weak some of those ACC teams look; it's stronger in every team they played.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm just being a little more pessimistic so that I can be surprised when we make it in versus like expecting it. But I mean, if we're going to play that way against NIU, I mean, if we play that way against anyone else on the schedule, we're going to lose, man. Like, and I don't know who our backup is. I should know that information. But if he comes out first half of next week and doesn't throw a goddamn touchdown pass, I'm freaking putting the backup in or something, dude, because you can't go 2.5 games and not throw a touchdown. Like, and throw, 3 picks or whatever? Like, you can't do it, man. Like, you got to switch off of them.
Who is the backup for Notre Dame? Do you know?
No idea, bro, but I'm going to look him up right now.
It's been a very transfer-esque position in recent years in Notre Dame. Last year, Sam Hartman. This year, Riley Leonard. Last week,
Steve Angeli.
Last week I had said that Riley Leonard looks like a natural fit at this position. Oh boy, was I wrong. I think we got a little blindsided when he was at Duke and upset Clemson his first week. We found out that Clemson wasn't that good in the end. He was just running all over them because that's his strength. He didn't throw a touchdown in that game. They ran all over Clemson. That's how they won the game. And because of that, everybody's all hyped like, wow, this kid's a first-round pick. Yeah, Duke had a good year. Then he started some losing games and started getting hurt, and he missed the rest of the year. Now he's here. So he needs to have that signature passing game where he can throw 4 touchdowns to really get me back on board and believing in him. But he did me no favors this week in thinking that he could be the guy to lead Notre Dame deep into a college football playoff run.
Dude, that one play, he was wide open, no pressure on the quarterback, and he doesn't throw it over the safety. Like, you can't, dude, you can't do that. You just can't do it.
Can't do it. But there isn't just cause for concern in South Bend. There's cause for concern all around college football. Some ranked teams who struggled against unranked foes this week. Oregon squeaks out another one at home versus Boise State, 37-34. Oklahoma scrapes by Houston 16-12 at home on their first game honoring Toby Keith. Rest in peace. Arizona skates by Northern Arizona 22-10. Penn State, like we just mentioned, they won 34-27 at home against Bowling Green. They were trailing by 4 at the half. And what I found pretty shocking too, Alabama at home at Bryant-Denny struggles for 3.5 quarters versus USF, but they ran up the score in the final 6 minutes or so to win. It was a 5-point game with 6:45 remaining on the day that they were dedicating the field to Nick Saban, nonetheless. Where do you think the most concern is right now, Austin?
Honestly, I think it's with Oklahoma. I am not high on Oklahoma right now. I think they've been struggling. I don't think they're as good as they are. I also think a little bit. I think Oregon is going to be all right. I think they're starting a little slow, but I think they're bound to bounce back. Their team's stacked. They have a great quarterback. So right now, I think it's Oklahoma personally.
Russ, what would you say is the biggest concern that I just named or something else you're thinking of?
I mean, definitely Oregon. I'd be a little concerned, honestly. I mean, you got a really tough in-state rival with Civil War this week against Oregon State. You're playing in the Big Ten, which the Big Ten is strong. I don't really know much about – I should know more about Oklahoma, but I don't. Arizona was a little shocking, but then when you talk to – you get your sources that NIU always plays Arizona tough.
NAU?
So, NAU, pointless. But they always play them tough. I think Arizona will probably be a lot of those games this year just because their defense isn't very strong. But, I mean, I would be worried if I was Oklahoma. Those are 2 back-to-back games, not very dominant. Where's the dominant victory, especially against Idaho? They only beat Idaho by 10, and last-second field goal against Boise State, don't get me wrong, Boise State looking really good so far, but, I mean, those are games you're supposed to win decisively with the amount of talent that they've brought in. And thinking about we got, Gabriel's a Heisman contender, Heisman favorite almost. Oregon's going to win the national title. You want to see a nice 14-point victory especially against Boise State.
Pete, how about your cause for concern here outside of your own team?
Well, outside of my world that's imploding and I'm thinking that I'm not going to watch college football for the rest of the season. Yeah, outside of that, I think it's Oklahoma because I'm kind of with Austin here. Oregon has a tough schedule ahead, but they got some good games at home. So it's not like they have to travel to some of these. I was looking right here. So they got, let's see here, Ohio State's at home. They're playing, let's see here, Michigan's away, but I think Michigan's going to be a cakewalk. Washington at home. And I think they're going to have a pretty decent chance. I think Oklahoma, though, just because I haven't been impressed with them. And I think with a team like Brett Venables being there a couple of years now, I just would expect more out of them. I mean, they got Tennessee in 2 weeks. And then you got to go on the road against Auburn, which is always tough. And then, granted, they have Texas at home, but Texas looks like a juggernaut, man. So, I mean, you might have 3 losses right there, just depending, or 2 or 3 losses. So, yeah, they haven't impressed me at all. And they're not even in my thought process. Like, that's how low I think of them right now, whereas the other teams I'm actually thinking about. So I'm going to say just because of that, Oklahoma, they got me worried because I'm not worried about them at all. So they got me worried.
Yeah, Texas at a neutral site, only note there. But yeah, you guys all make some very valid points. I'm most concerned for my national championship pick, Oregon, because they don't look like a national championship contender right now. Dylan Gabriel, my old guy from UCF, looking pretty overrated right now. Yeah, if you just look at the stat line, you'll see that his numbers aren't terrible. They're actually pretty decent. But the whole team, the whole program right now is just in a pickle, I would say, of we all transferred in and now we're going to make something happen. And I really have to rethink this. Can you just throw a team together like this from the transfer portal and expect to win a title in year one? And Oregon might be showing us that that's not possible, even if the whole roster is super talented. But we're going to move on.
If you look in sports, I mean, if you look, like say the Dodgers this year with their super team, if they don't win, if you fire Dave Roberts, if you look at the Heat, they didn't win in the first year. So it's hard to just throw a team together and win right off the bat. These guys are, we're seeing the teams that win. These guys have been together for 2-3 years winning it all. So, I mean, I would not, I wouldn't be surprised. It's tough to put a team together in the offseason and have a lot of big contributors and then go straight and win the national title.
Well, and you see what's happening with Colorado. I mean, exactly right there. And it's the sport with the most roster spots. You're talking 50, 60-man roster. All the other sports you mentioned were like a starting rotation of 5 guys or 11 guys. Like, you got 60 guys on this team, and any given year you might get 20 new ones or 15 new ones. Like, that's a huge thing to overcome and try to find some chemistry in a game that has so many different strategery, So I'm with you, Russ. Yeah, it's hard to do, man, like right away. Like, if you get one game-changing guy, that could be different. So like 2 or 3. But if you start bringing in more than probably like 7 to 10 dudes that you're trying to get in and mixing it, I mean, it's just hard. Along with new coaches too. Yeah, no, it's tough to do.
Yeah, all good points. The Miami Heat example, like you said, Russ, were great. Even I'll go 1 year later, maybe the last year of the Heatles, the Brooklyn Nets tried to throw Paul Pierce, KG, Andre Karolinko, Joe Johnson, Darren Williams all in a team. Granted, they're all basically going to a retirement home at that point in their career.
A lot
legendary team.
I mean, the Nets tried it again. It didn't work out. So,
right.
Yeah, back to the well.
Mm-hmm. Well, Harden got hurt. Kyrie got hurt in that series. Kevin Durant's foot was one size too big. And it's just a story of what if there. But I see what you mean. So now we'll move on here to the Paradise Parlay. This may be our last week of doing the long parlay, but let's see how this works this week. Starting here, Russ's Arizona Wildcats go to visit the Kansas State Wildcats in Manhattan. Not the Big Apple, the Little Apple. Kansas State is a 7-point favorite at home, 58.5 over-under. KSU minus 258, Arizona plus 210. Russ, kick us off here. Which Wildcat will prevail?
That's going to be the Bearcats. Bear down. I got them covering. I got them winning. And surprise, surprise, the over is going to hit. I don't know if you know, they score a lot of points in Arizona, a lot of points in the Big 12. But I'm pumped. I'm ready to kick. That kicks off the weekend right on Friday night for us. So I'm pumped. I mean, it's a nice welcome into the Big 12. It's going to be a great matchup, probably one of the better matchups in college football this week because we got a lot of, not as good games. So, I mean, I'm stoked. It was definitely a down game against NAU. Fafita didn't look all that great. McMillan had a down game from that 310 4-touchdown performance, but I think they go into Manhattan and get that win to just welcome into the Big 12. But I mean, tough place to play, so I wouldn't be surprised if Kansas State pulls that one out, but I'm not going to go against my team.
Austin, let's go down the line here. Your thoughts?
I like Arizona as well. I'm taking them to cover, and I'm taking them money line as well. I do like the over. I think Arizona's defense struggles. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I'm high on McMillan. He's coming off 12 receptions for 315 yards already this season, and Conley seems to be running the ball well. So I'm taking Arizona in a tight one.
Pete, let's keep it going. Love it, Austin.
I'm going to go with the boys here and do the same exact thing. They are going to toast up the winners of the Pop-Tart Bowl. They're going to burn them, son. So I think Arizona's getting this done. And I think it's going to hit everything that those guys said. Last week, definitely a down one for Fafita, but you bounce back, dude. I mean, that guy's got the ability to throw 7 touchdowns, and I just think their offense is better. So I think I'm going to go with Arizona.
And to throw out with the Michigan loss, the longest winning streak in college football now is University of Arizona.
There you go.
Russ,
I'm sorry, Austin. I'm sorry.
It's all right.
Hey, you got a national title though.
That's right. That'll last a few years, right?
Until they take it away.
Yeah.
Russ loves Arizona. My uncle went to Arizona. How can I go against the real Wildcats? Sorry, Kansas State. Give me Arizona to cover the spread. Give me the over, and I'm taking the money line with this upset here. Alabama going to Camp Randall in Wisconsin. Bama's a 15.5-point road favorite. The over-under is 51. Bama is a minus 70 money line favorite with UW coming in plus 525. Let's start with Pete this time.
Yeah, I think Alabama's going to beat the brakes off of them. I'm taking Alabama to cover, Alabama to win, obviously money line, and I think that's going to go over. Now, Wisconsin's not the easiest place to play, unlike Notre Dame is, because it seems like we have no spirit and no fight in our fans to actually affect the game. So Wisconsin fans can't actually do that. It's going to be a red out or a white out. Who knows which one it's going to be. My sister lives there. Shout out to her, Wisconsin Madison legend. But I think Alabama's going to get it done and show that their red is a little bit better than Wisconsin's red. So Alabama on everything.
And I'm going to go a different direction. I think Alabama will win, but Wisconsin's going to find a way to cover. If Jalen Milroe and the team look as sloppy as they do a week ago at home, what are they going to do when they have to go on the road to Camp Randall to Wisconsin, where they're going to be jumping around, no pun intended here, all over Bama? Again, I think they could win by a field goal, but give me the Badgers to cover. I'm going to go the under here because Wisconsin, Luke Fickell, they're built on defense and run game up there. And I'll go with Bama money line here. Russ.
Not so fast, Justin. I'm going Bama to win big. I'm going Bama, obviously, get the money line.
Just because of this.
And I'm going the over. But, I mean, I will say Camp Randall, tough place to play. Luckily, it's not going to be, -10 in Wisconsin. But I got Bama, and we saw how quickly they can score this past week.
I'm going to go with Justin on this one. Wisconsin likes to run the ball. Clearly, last week, Alabama really struggled stopping the run. I'm going to take Wisconsin to cover. I think Bama ultimately wins the game, and I like the over in it as well. But I think Wisconsin covers this game for sure. Tough place to play. But I think ultimately Bama gets the win.
Remember, this isn't Nick Saban anymore. It is Kalen DeBoer, who's a great coach, but he's not just quite Saban. Let's see if he can get Saban-esque with this. Now, for a game close to my heart, first time on the Paradise Parlay this year, UCF at TCU. Big road test for the Knights. TCU is a 1-point favorite at home. Over-under is 61.5. And the money line is so close here because TCU is a -12 favorite, but UCF is -108, interestingly enough. Austin, give me your best shot.
I'm going to take TCU on both spread and money line. I'm going to take the under in the game. I don't know too much about UCF this year, but they're on the road, so I'm going to get TCU.
I'll go last. Pete, go ahead.
Justin, I can never ride against you on this one, so I'm going the opposite of him. I'm going UCF to get everything. So I think UCF's going to win this one on the road. I got a good feeling about it. I think it's going to hit the over. It's going to be a lot of points, and I'm taking TCU or UCF money line.
Russ.
Yeah, Justin, I'm with Austin on this. I'm sorry. You spoke. You've kind of given me some reason to pick against UCF with the play you've been talking about from KJ Jefferson. I don't think he can win the big game. We saw it at Arkansas. I don't think he can do it. So I think TCU is going to win. TCU is going to cover. kind of a pick'em game, -1, really not a cover, but and let's go the over.
You're right. It is a very close pick'em game, essentially. And just because I went there, I'm going to go UCF. They'll get a big road win here, something that we're not used to under Gus Malzahn, because now the pieces are slowly coming together. KJ had a much better week passing this past week, and I was shocked. He only missed like 1 or 2 passes the whole game. Granted, he only threw it like 15 times, but it's the run game that should concern teams at UCF. There's a 4-headed monster running back led by RJ Harvey, who keep your eye on him in the Heisman race. This man can run over you. He's already got 6 touchdowns through 2 weeks of play. Granted, not the best competition, but now we get to Big 12 play. Let's see what he can do in a hostile environment. It's a blackout, believe it or not, in TCU. So give me UCF to win. I'm going to go the over. It's going to be a Big 12 classic matchup and UCF to beat the spread. Now coming up here, Oregon at Oregon State. Oregon's a 16.5-point road favorite at the Beaver Stadium down there. Over-under is 50, with UO coming in at -850, OSU +575. If you ask me, this might be the easiest money of the week to pick against the spread here. Give me Oregon State covering that. Oregon has not showed that they can even cover a spread against Idaho or Boise State, and you expected them to do it in their in-state rival spot. First time they've ever played this early in the year, by the way. Over-under here, I'll go the over just because both teams will know how to score, but I think this is going to be a lot closer than we think. I do think Oregon's going to escape with a win, but it's not going to be by 16 or 17 points. So that's where I'm going. Austin.
I'm with you on that. I think in-state rivalry, I like Oregon State to cover. I think Oregon's eventually, going to take the lead. I think I have Oregon by 3. I know they've been struggling early this year, but I think they pull out a win here.
Russ.
Yeah, I'm with both you guys. I think Oregon State covers, and it's in Corvallis. I mean, it's definitely a little different feel because they're not in the Pac-12. Rest in peace. Or not, I shouldn't say rest in peace because there's still 2 teams in the Pac-12.
I'll jump in. I think I'm with you guys as well. I think the only thing I'm trying to figure out is the over. Oregon State's basically been Oregon's been scoring around 30 points a game, and they've been giving up like 24. So that says it should hit the over. But so I'm going to take the over. But for some reason, I think Oregon State's going to win this game. So I'm going to take Oregon State money line to cover as well as the over. I don't know why. I just don't trust Oregon. And I think this is, it's definitely a hard place to play. So I'm going to take Oregon State. A little bit of a shocker, but I think they're going to outright win this one.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys. I got Oregon State covering. Tough place to play, but I think Oregon ends up winning the game, and they'll take the over.
Love it, guys. It is an early rivalry week with that game, but also this next game here. We get the Apple Cup very early in the year for the first time. Washington State at Washington. The Huskies are a 4.5-point favorite at home, 56 over-under. Washington -198 money line, WSU +164. Guys, with this, I know Klay Thompson got paid big this year, but I don't think that they're going to get paid big time here. I think that Washington will easily cover this. I'll go the under here just because I don't think they're as good last year as they were last year. I can't really talk today. But they'll be enough to contain Washington State. They're not going to score all the points in the world. So give me Washington to cover, take the under, and Huskies money line. Pete.
Yeah, so I think this other in-state rivalry, I think Washington State's going to win. So I'm going to take Washington State money line, obviously, to cover, and then I'm going to take the over on this one. I just have a feeling there's going to be a lot of points.
Austin.
I disagree with you, Pete. I think Washington goes in. I think Washington rolls. I think they cover the spread, and I think they win big. I've watched a little bit of Washington this year. I really like their running back. He runs really hard. But I think I'm going to take the under in this game as well. But Washington rolls big.
Russ, Jed Fish left your beloved Wildcats to go to the Huskies. Does he get this big dub?
Yeah, I'm going with our former coach, Jed Fish. He definitely could win the big game. Great story, turn that Arizona program around. So I'm going with Jedd Fisch to win this game. Cover. Let's go the under and the money line. I mean, that Washington does have a seasoned veteran as quarterback in Will Rogers, so it's not like the guy played in the SEC, played a lot of big games. So I think Washington is going to get this W.
Sticking with the rivalry theme, we return back to what we talked about before, the backyard brawl. Once again back, and I love it. I'm so glad the realignment finally came to their senses and said, bring this back. We need the backyard brawl. West Virginia at Pitt, who now is looking for a new AD. West Virginia is a road favorite by 2.5, over under 60.5. West Virginia is a money line favorite at minus 135, with Pitt coming in at 114. Pitt is undefeated. They're going to be putting that on the line at home. So, Russ, give me your best.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going with West Virginia to cover. I'm going with West Virginia with the money line and the over. I'm going with Pat McAfee.
Ooh, almost heaven. Pete, you going with the Mountaineers or the
Yeah, I'm going with the Mountaineers. I picked them. I think I might have picked them to cover or maybe even beat outright Penn State week 1. That didn't work out, but this week it's gonna. I got a good vibe about this one, dude. This game's just pure vibes, okay? I got no real reasoning, no real insight. I just think they're gonna get it done, and they're gonna get it done for McAfee. So I'm doing the same thing as Russ. West Virginia cover, over, and money line.
Not so fast. Not so fast. It covers everything. Yeah, they may not have an AD right now, but they're going to be playing because they want to attract a good one. So Pitt is going to win. They're going to cover. It's going to be an ugly slugfest. It's going to be an under because this is a nasty game, nasty rivalry back and forth. And give me the Panthers money line. Austin.
Justin, I got to go eat shit Pitt. I think West Virginia rolls. I think they win this game. I think they cover the spread. I do take the under on this, but I'm high on Hunter Green. I think he's a legit quarterback, so I'm going to go West Virginia in this game.
And our game of the week, we get LSU at South Carolina. Now, normally this wouldn't be the first game that jumps right back out at you, but game day is going to be there this week. LSU is visiting the first place in the SEC, South Carolina Gamecocks. When is the last time you heard that all in one sentence? But here, LSU is a 7-point favorite at Williams-Brice Stadium in Columbia. 50 is the over-under. LSU minus 250 money line. South Carolina plus 205. Pete, kick us off here. Does Brian Kelly get a big road win, or does he fall flat once again?
His history is he would, after losing week 1, be pretty good in the following weeks. I think they lose. I think South Carolina gets this. I mean, they just beat Kentucky. I think LSU just beat Nichols or whatever that school was. But I'm going to take South Carolina, man. I think I'm going to take them money line. I'm going to take them to cover, and then I'm going to take them. I think it's going to be, what was it, 50.5? There's going to be some points. I think it barely gets over. Maybe it's like a 27-24 or something like that. So yeah, I'm going to go over.
Those fans in Columbia are gassed up for this. They're going to be so hyped. And remember, LSU, if they're going to be anything like week 1, they were the most undisciplined team I'd ever seen in recent memory in college football. I doubt that Brian Kelly can get all that turned around in 2 weeks. No matter how much he yells, no matter how much he bangs the table, no matter how red his skin gets, they will not be able to get the message in time. South Carolina is going to win this outright. Give it to me. South Carolina covers. They're going to go over. Give me the Gamecocks money line. Russ.
Well, I'm going LSU solely on the base fact is that my sister-in-law went to Clemson, so she hates South Carolina. So I'm going LSU. I think Brian Kelly gets this win. They cover. They win. If they cover, they win. And let's go under.
Austin is going to be go Tigers or go Cox?
I think South Carolina's coming off a big win. I wasn't expecting that win last week, to be honest with you. I really don't like Brian Kelly, but I think Brian Kelly and the LSU Tigers are going to win this game, and I'm gonna say the under with that as well.
There's something that a Michigan and Notre Dame fan can agree on, not liking Brian Kelly. Oh, man. And there you have it. That's our parlay for the week, the Paradise Parlay. Now for our upset cover, other games we're watching segment here. So Austin, just so you're aware, this is any game that we think is going to be the upset, or we're going to cover. Maybe it's a big cover. Maybe it's about 7 is the minimum we set it at, or other games that we're paying attention to this week. This is what that segment is for. I'll kick us off for the example. My cover of the week is going to be Oregon State at home plus 16.5. Like I said, this could be the most free money pick this week. Oregon State is going to put up a fight. I think Oregon's going to escape, but there's no way that they're going to win by 16.5 on the road. Another game that I'm watching and paying attention to here is Virginia Tech at Old Dominion. Now, why? Because this is a Power 5, Power 4 now versus a Group of 5 team. Old Dominion got their first ever ranked win against the Power 5 team just a few years ago against Virginia Tech on their home field. And now it's happening all over again. I do think that there's a chance that we could see another repeat. Virginia Tech does not look good this year, albeit they're not the ranked team that they were a couple years ago when Old Dominion beat them. But still, I just feel like Old Dominion is gassed up. They remember what happened a few years ago. They're like, remember how happy everybody was? They stormed the field. We want to recreate that energy again, raise the profile of our school. So I'm paying attention to that one too. And then last one I'm watching here is Texas A&M at Florida. The Aggies coming to the Swamp. DJ Lagway gets his first SEC start. So let's see how he'll respond against a real defense. No offense to the team that they played last week, but still, he's a young guy, true freshman, I believe, who was the top-ranked recruit in the country at the quarterback position. He is the lone thing that could save Billy Napier's job, but he's going to have to get through Mike Elko and Texas A&M to do so. All right. Russ, let's keep it going.
I want to shout out happy birthday, Joe. He's not here. He's got Purdue covering against Notre Dame. So that's yeah. Sorry, Pete. I'm going with the surprise pick. Might surprise a lot of you guys. I'm going Memphis to beat Florida State.
Wow.
That's plus 6.5. Yeah, wow. Let's go Tigers.
Okay. Any other games you're watching or just specifically that one?
Arizona. Oh, Arizona all day. Let's go. Well, we got the Georgia game right to end the day off. But, I mean, I'm zoned in Arizona, ready to stay up till about midnight on Friday because I'll be back on the East Coast.
Petey, what's your thoughts here?
Yeah, so I'm kind of with Joe. I am a little worried about this Purdue game. It's at Purdue. I mean, Purdue, they've only played one game so far this season, but they put up 49 points, which is more than the Irish have put up in any game, almost combined. So I'm a little worried about it. I mean, we're only favored by, let's see here, it's like 10 or something. Yeah, we're only a 16-point favorite. I think Purdue is going to cover that game. And that's the game I'm really watching, obviously, because I'm a huge Notre Dame fan. I really want to see that first half, how Riley Leonard plays. Because if it's me, he's gone at halftime if he doesn't have a touchdown or at least if he's not making a bunch of completions. So I'm really locked into that one. I do think Purdue's going to cover. They're a good team, and we're playing like dog shit. Other stuff that I'm looking out for, obviously I had my upset here on Washington State, or Oregon State over Oregon. That's going to be my upset of the week. It's 16.5-point dog. So that's what I'm taking there. But yeah, there's a number of good games that I'm really going to be locked into. Probably really that Alabama-Wisconsin one. I know I said Alabama's going to win big, but it'd just be kind of cool to see that atmosphere. So I'm going to be locked in on that one just because that doesn't happen all the time where Alabama goes. I can't remember the last time they played Wisconsin. So, yeah, I'm really going to be looking at that. But I'm nervous about Notre Dame, man. Nervous.
Yeah, the last time I remember the two of them, Alabama and Wisconsin, I believe they played to open the season neutral site in Houston, and Alabama blew them out because obviously Nick Saban, that was his prime years. And what was his name? Paul Chris. He was so one-dimensional with his offense. He could just run the ball. But when he ran the ball, he ran it big with Melvin Gordon and those guys, Jonathan Taylor. He had some power backs there in Wisconsin. Austin, you want to give it a shot?
Yeah, I'm with you guys on the Oregon State-Oregon game. I think Oregon State covers this game. I think it'll be close. And then correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Colorado and Colorado State are this weekend as well.
That's right, another rivalry.
I think Colorado State played them tough that year, and I think Colorado State has a chance to win that game.
Hey,
what happens to
Deion?
0-3. What happens if he's 0-3?
Well, he won the first game, so he can't be 0-3.
Okay, whatever. 3 in a row then, right?
Mm-hmm. And then coming up to our next segment here, we just check in on the Heisman race. So I'd like to hand this off to somebody else to brief us on the Heisman race. And today that person's going to be Russ.
I mean, early, but I mean, if it's really, really early, Justin, but I'm gonna go Quinn Ewers is the leader of the pack right now. You win a big game like that in the big house, I mean, that just puts you over the top. But we're going into week 3? Not really good. Is it week 3? So I mean, but I would definitely say he's the leader in the pack after a big victory in the big house.
So Ewers definitely, I agree, separate himself from the competition to take over that first place spot. Whereas Carson Beck, Dylan Raiola, and Nico from Tennessee all look pretty good. Pete, any comments on what you've seen so far?
I'm just really impressed by Ewers, man. Like the ability to do what he's doing last year and this year, come back from the injury, ball out. I mean, you got the Manning kid behind you. Like he's got a lot of pressure on him, man, and he is killing it. So like it's just really impressive to watch. I mean, obviously every week if he has a bad game, everyone's like, all right, put Manning in. But he's not having bad games. He's tearing it up. So I am extremely impressed with the way that he's playing. And I think he's the front runner for the Heisman. No doubt.
Austin, based on what you've seen, you saw Ewers operate that offense in person in Michigan. How much would you agree he's the favorite right now?
I think he looks great right now. And there was two throws in that game that one was the touchdown pass. It was a phenomenal throw. I think Ewers is definitely running the pack right now. But I think Carson Beck goes into Alabama, week 4. I think that'll be a good test for him. And I also agree with Nico. I think he's been playing lights out as well. So I think it's early to tell, but I would say Quinn's winning this race right now.
At the moment, I believe Dylan Gabriel has dropped out. He has the opportunity to play himself back in, but he's got to clean up his team's mistakes, I will say. He's playing all right, but at this point, if you take a look at Oregon, the way they're winning, I just don't see how you could be considered a favorite like you were coming into the season. So reprove yourself, Dylan, and then maybe you'll re-enter. Now, for newcomers in the race this week, of course, I brought up RJ Harvey before, but I also want to shine some light on probably the best running back in the country at the moment, Ashton Jeedy from Boise State, who this season already in just 2 games has 49 carries, 459 yards, 9 touchdowns, averaging 10.2 yards per carry. You talk about future coming of beast mode, possibly. Look at this kid go.
Yeah, he has been a stud, Justin. I mean, it's been good to see him. I mean, the way they played last week too. I mean, that team's kind of on fire here. So I'm definitely going to be tuning in to watch the blue turf. You know,
the Smurf turf. That's right. And now for the temperature check. Who's on the hot seat? So here
Marcus Freeman.
Here are my rankings this week. On the low side, nothing to worry about just yet, but just keep your eye out. Marcus Freeman lands here this week. He's lost to Marshall this early in the year, a couple years ago. Now he's lost to Northern Illinois this year. At Notre Dame, you're expected to win, and you're expected to win big in these games at home. He's now lost 2 of them. I don't think he's fully safe. He's safe enough, but not fully safe. That's why he's here this week for me. Also, James Franklin. I know he's undefeated at the moment, but they don't look good once again against the scrappy Bowling Green team at home a week after a big win at West Virginia, big rival of theirs. So he's not fully there yet either. So if they can make the playoff, he might save his job. If not, I think it might be time to pull the plug. Getting warm. Mike Norvell, I'm going to keep him here for now. He's facing a big challenge this week, like Russ alluded to. I'm going to get to that in a second. And then I love what Russ brought up last week with Dabo Swinney at Clemson. Of course, they were playing a cupcake this week to prepare for the season, but they looked very lifeless against Georgia a couple weeks ago, a game that they would usually be competitive in, and in the past they would win. Now, given Georgia is not what they were back in like 2013-14 when they met and Clemson won those matchups, but still, at this point, Dabo's falling behind the pack. When is the point where they say enough is enough, Dabo? You've got to keep with the times. And then finally, the scorching hot. Billy Napier, once again, at the top of the list, scorching hot at Florida. You've got a very tough schedule this year. You show up like that against Miami, and you lay an absolute egg, a dud. DJ Lagway, like I said, is your last hope. You better hope that he is, because you've got a lot of tough competition along the way. And lastly here, moving up to scorching hot after just 1 week is Sam Pittman, whose days at Arkansas, I think, are burning out really quickly. That's why he is scorching hot. Anybody who would like to add anything here?
I'm going to go ahead and add some. James Franklin at Penn State. I would have thought he would have been on the hot seat a couple years ago. I don't know what they're all right up there, but, you go 8-2 almost every season. When you're not winning the two biggest games as a Big Ten coach that you need to win, and that's Ohio State, Michigan. I would, if he was my head coach, he would have been gone a while ago.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, we talk about when Harbaugh was there, seemingly every year they're like, hey, if you don't beat Ohio State, you're on the hot seat. Same thing with what's his name at Ohio State. You don't beat Michigan, you're on the hot seat. So I think you got to give Franklin the same pressure, man. Penn State is a huge football school and huge history there. They want to win, dude. They don't want to come in second or third to both of those teams every season. I mean, consistency is good, but if you're consistently not winning it and winning the conference, what the fuck does it matter? That's how I'm going to say Brian Kelly. I put him on the hot seat. If you're going to put Marcus Freeman on it, I mean, I think you got to put Brian Kelly on it. They go in this week and lose. They're 1-2. I mean, their schedule doesn't get any freaking easier, man. And I mean, granted, last year he had Jaden Daniels, a Heisman winner. Like, yeah, that kind of carried them last year. You don't have that this year, dude. So, let's see if you can really coach and get this team to 10-plus wins again. If he doesn't, I think – I mean, you already got people online after week 1 being like, why the heck did we get rid of Ed Ogeron, I mean, obviously there was a bunch of other stuff there involving other things outside of football, but God dang it, that guy won a national championship. So you can't go from winning one to not even making the playoff. Like, you can't do that. So I'm putting Brian Kelly on the warm seat, possibly the slightly hotter seat.
That's good analysis, Pete. Remember, the Lakers moved away from Shaq at the end of his prime. That's the type of organization that LSU is too. Same colors too, by the way. Shaq also went to LSU. Do you think he's going to stand for more losses like this as a big donor?
I wouldn't.
Russ, any words here?
Yeah, I like both Austin and Pete, and you're Justin. That's good. James Franklin definitely seems like he's got a long leash of definitely not, being average, and you don't beat Michigan, you don't beat Ohio State, that they're giving him a long leash to get that done, and hasn't really been in the, Final Four there, college football playoffs. So I think he's got a long leash. So I agree with Austin on that. I also think Ryan Day's, his seat is probably warming up. I mean, I'm sorry, he hasn't been able to get it done recently. You got to beat Michigan. I mean, as Saban said, you spent $20 million on your roster, and if it doesn't work out, you're shit out of luck. So if it doesn't work out for Ryan Day this year, I think he's shit out of luck.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're going to wrap up the show here, starting with the stat of the day. Norvell and Memphis. Mike Norvell, head coach of Florida State, spent 4 years at the helm of the Memphis Tigers, accumulating a 38-15 record there. He departed Florida State after leading the Tigers to a 12-1 season in 2019. He didn't coach in the Cotton Bowl that year, though, where Memphis would go on to lose to Micah Parsons and Penn State 53-39, talking about James Franklin. In his 4th year at FSU, he led the team to a perfect season, but was left out of the playoff. FSU is now 0-2 to start the year, and now we were just saying Mike Norvell is under some immense pressure to win a game. The Seminoles are hosting, you guessed it, the Memphis Tigers this week in Tallahassee. So if Norvell wants to get back in the win column, he's going to have to go through a familiar team to do it. Russ, this is your surprise team here who's going to win this week and your upset of the week. So I hope you and I will be watching that game very closely to see what happens.
I'll be watching it close. Memphis is a good team. I mean, and Pete picked them as his, was it non-power 4 team to make playoffs. Memphis is a good team. I think it'll be a good game. And I mean, for all intents and purposes, I picked Memphis to win. I kind of hope Florida State wins because I feel really bad for DJ, and he really needs this win. But I mean, I think that'll be a good game.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, in our last segment here, cheers of the week. Starting off with Pete, shut your ears. Coach Thomas Hammock of NIU. We saw a grown man cry on TV. He was so overcome with emotion after the biggest W in school history. He played running back in Northern Illinois from 99 to 02, and you can see just truly how much he cared for his alma mater and his team. He had a quote in his speech at the end in the locker room saying, "I told y'all we didn't need luck." And to be honest, they really didn't. They went out there and won this the old-fashioned way with some hard-nosed, run-the-ball football. And they got it done on the road. Much respect to Thomas Hammock. And the other one, Russ, shut your ears. Arizona State running back Cam Scatabo, excuse me. Cam Scatabo. I couldn't stop saying that.
You can't even say the guy's name right. So it's
my apologies, Cam Scatabo. 33 carries, 262 yards, and ASU's first ever win over an SEC team. Congrats, Sun Devils. Congrats. Joe's not here. Happy birthday to him. Cheers to him, he says. Happy birthday to myself. Russ.
Let's go Nico. I won't even try to say his last name. And Josh Heupel, University of Tennessee, putting up a 51 spot on NC State. On the road, too.
Way to go, Nico and Heupel. Pete.
I'm going to say cheers to Nebraska. They seem to be back, and Matt Rule has those guys rolling. I think that their quarterback, the little mini Mahomes, whatever the hell he's doing to try to basically have the same haircut, the same style, the same vibes, like, why not emulate greatness, dude? So I'm really excited for Nebraska. It's good. College football is good when Nebraska is good, and they haven't been good in a while. The other cheers is Notre Dame lost. So, dude, I'm taking a nonchalant attitude to the rest of the schedule now. Like my Saturdays, maybe I'll do something else. Maybe I won't even watch the game, bro. Maybe I'll just live my life, dude. I don't know. So cheers to me for maybe getting a little time back on my Saturday and not caring about it. But once we get back into it, I'll be locked in. So it's just, it might be only a couple weeks, but cheers to me.
Shirts.
Austin, you got a cheer for us? Close us out.
Pete took mine, Nebraska. I really like Raioli over there, and
Ravioli, whatever the hell his name
Raioli,
is.
yeah, Raioli, whatever it is, you know what I mean. But I think he's a stud, and I think he's legit. So cheers to Nebraska. We'll see how they do the rest of the season.
And fun fact, though, Dylan Raiola's number 15 is not because of Pat Mahomes. It's because of another great college football quarterback, Tim Tebow. That's why he wears 15.
All right. That's a great start of the day. Thanks, Russ.
Two legends.
Yeah.
And that concludes another episode here of Touchdown in Paradise. Thank you all for joining us here in the Fins Talk Sports Network. I'm Justin.
I'm Russ.
And I'm Austin.
I'm Pete.
We miss you, Joe. Happy birthday. We'll see you next week, knuckleheads.
Later.
Peace.